presidential debate in 2016, Donald Trump's tax return was in question. I'm going to keep this as bipartisan as I can and not have an opinion one way or the other about what candidate. I just want to tell people how tax returns work and what information you can really see from a tax return. Um, so if we go down here, so the number one thing that was brought up is Hillary said that she wants to see who Donald Trump owes money to. And unfortunately, we can't tell this by a tax return. There's nothing on a tax return that says debts. There's no balance sheet on a tax return. Um, so it's really that was a poor point. But honestly, I don't think that either of them know what actually goes on a tax return. So I don't blame one party or the other. Um, so, um, first of all, you tell the taxable, well, wages. This is like tips, so you can go to statement one to find this out. But taxable interest, I always like looking at this um, because that shows how much money a candidate has. So what I normally do is when I'm trying to ballpark how much money somebody actually has, I take this and I add this. So this is their interest income. This is their ordinary dividends. Um, so what you're going to do is if you add both these together, you're going to get about 110,000. So roughly, I kind of use the rate between 3 and 4%, depending on how the economy did the prior year, and see what the yield rate is and everything. So if you divide that by 4%, you'll roughly come with how much money they probably have in cash or investments. Um, so $110,000, that's 4%. You can times that by, I'd estimate probably $2 million that she's got in cash and investments. So she didn't receive alimony. That's something I don't know what Trump says. Probably he would be alimony paid if he has to pay any alimony. Um, so you've got your business income, and with business income, this comes from the Schedule C. So you can see her activity in the Schedule C. We'll go down there shortly. Um, and then you can also see their itemized deductions in their tax return. So they're taking $2.2 million in itemized deductions. And what itemized deduction that comes from your Schedule A, and that'll tell you a little bit more details about like how much mortgage interest they pay, um, and how much state and local tax they pay, and how much gifts to charity they pay. So this is the Schedule A we're looking at. So state and local, and then you got the home mortgage interest. Something to remember with home mortgage interest, you can't just take that number and divide it by the average mortgage rate, because only the first $1 million of a mortgage you can take the interest expense on your tax return, and $100,000 of your home equity or whatever else you got on top of that. So up to $1.1 million. So you can tell they've got over $1 million, because if you take 1.1 divided by like 3 or 4%, you're getting about $41,000 there. Gifts to charity, 1.42, a little over $1 million. And you can see the actual charities on statement 4. I'm guessing it's the Clinton Foundation. So we go down here farther. See, this is the interest and dividend income. So these are all pretty much accounts. It's kind of interesting. because so this is showing you these are joint. So that's Bill and Hillary, and then this is just Hillary. So how does Hillary have an account and Bill doesn't? That's kind of funny. I'm just saying. I'm just making small talk. And then this is their Vanguard, and that's where they keep most of their investments. So that's an index fund that they own. So that's kind of nice that they just own the index fund. And this is what I was telling you about the Schedule C. This is their business. So this is Hillary's. This is from her book. So it's kind of, I mean, she only made 28,000 off her book. So it's kind of interesting. And then here is Bill's public speaking income. So it looks like he brought in about. So look at that. That's kind of wild. $500,000 from travel. That's kind of neat. Commission and fees. That's like his pimp. That's who gets paid too. So whoever books his events, that's who that's going to. Taxes and licenses, 25,000. I don't know exactly what that could be. And then, like I said, travel almost $500,000. It's kind of wild. So we'll scroll down. And this is Bill's book. So Bill brought in about 29,000. So Bill did better with his book than Hillary. This is another one of Bill's consulting. It's going to be tough to tell where he got that money from. W2 statement 9. We'll take a look there. So then here's Hillary's speaking fees. She got 1.5 last year. And that's down from the year before, if I did believe. Last year, in 2014, they made about, I haven't looked at it, but I think it was about 25 million. And here's another book for 3 mil. And this is interesting. This is their capital gain carryover, and this goes into part of the thing where Trump was saying he didn't pay any taxes. Chances are a lot of his are investment income, and in 2008, if you remember, there was a big loss in the market in 2008. So in 2008, a lot of people with money sold a lot of their assets, so they generated that capital loss. A lot of them reinvested in the market. So all that investment income is getting netted with this long-term capital loss carryover. So it's kind of also interesting that they did not make any proceeds or sales during the year, and that makes sense because they have that index fund. And then this is the thing I really want to get into, because if I could imagine what Trump's return actually looks like, I think mainly what you're going to get is everything's going to is partnerships, and everything's going to be flowing from K1s and 1120s. So a lot of stuff's going to be flowing in here. Not so much this page, but the second page. This page is where rental real estate is reported. The following page is where income for partnerships and S corporations is coming in. So that's what they're pulling off their K1s. So you really cannot see a lot of information. The average person, I don't believe, is going to be able to read their tax return and find out anything of Trump's return. I don't think even me as a CPA doing an analysis, I don't believe that I could actually tell what's going on. And I'm sure his is a lot more pages than this. It's nobody could understand it unless you know what you're doing. This is the self-employment tax. If you're self-employed, you got to pay not only your employer's your portion of the Social Security FICA tax, you have to pay the employer portion. It's really stinky when you have to do that. So if any of you guys ever get a consulting job, make sure you're getting paid the right amount. Don't let them fool you with just um, a number, because you got to pay your taxes out of there. So this is the net investment income for individuals, and this was new from the Obamacare law. And it's just how you have to pay tax on your net investment income. You get an additional tax on it. So that's at 3.8 Medicare. $3.8 tax goes towards the medical care. So let's see. Let's see what organization she donated money to. So $1 million of that contribution she did was to the Clinton Family Foundation, and that's limited to 30% of your income. That's why it's not even close to 30% of hers. And then 50%, you can donate up to 50% of your income to other charities like 501c3s that are eligible. And that's, she did 42,000. And that's about it of the interesting stuff. But I just wanted to do this to show you how her tax return is and how you can read a tax return and figure out like what's going on. An interesting tax return to look at was Rubio. That guy is broke. He took a retirement distribution early, and you can tell that on this line, pensions and annuities. So chances this 226,000. I'm guessing that's Bill's pension from being president, or something related to that, or just a pension they have from another gig or something. That's a little bit interesting. I'm kind of surprised that it's all taxable, so I don't know what's going on there. So maybe that's something to do with the presidency thing. But yeah, if you look at Rubio's return, he took a taxable IRA distribution. If you know, he's not over 55 years old. So if you're under 55 and you take one that don't meet one of the exclusions, you're getting taxed an extra 10% on that. So you almost never want to take one of those out if you're under 55. So something is up with Rubio because that was on his return. I looked at all the returns. I don't want to be biased and just looking at this one with you guys, but I just thought it'd be interesting to pull this up because Trump's isn't out yet. I hope he puts it out. It'd be interesting to see. I think he's going to get slack. People are giving him a hard time about it no matter what. There's nothing for him to gain by releasing it. So there's really no benefit, I see, by him releasing it because it's more complicated than people can understand. Also, if you see him paying like I said earlier, to do that investment loss, he can lower his taxes. Clinton's really not selling anything, so that didn't help her at all this year. It could in the future. The other thing is, if he's getting all of his income from corporate